Well, what a game at Everbank Stadium this past weekend. I really thought that Georgia was just going to blow them out, but look at Florida battling until the very last few minutes, until Georgia doing what they always do in the second half.
I'll tell you what, Florida's number one, give Georgia credit. Georgia, when the game got to 2020, Georgia had to find a way, forget all the other stuff. Can you go win the game? And championship teams go win the game. And they went and won the game when the game was on the line. The game was tied with 7 minutes to play. Carson Beck, no matter how well he played or didn't play, he went and made the winning drive. But I give Florida some credit, Alessandra. I thought Florida played with a toughness. They have found something under Billy Napier. I don't know how good a coach he is. I don't know how long he's going to be there. But the Tennessee game, the Kentucky game, the Georgia game, there's a toughness. They play hard for him. They are in these games. They're getting the worst luck ever. And I know we'll talk about Lagway in a minute. But I thought Florida played with some heart. Really played with some heart. I was impressed by the Florida football team.
Yeah, let's talk more about these quarterbacks. We'll start with DJ Lagway. Just so upsetting to see him go down. Horrible what happened to him. And then you have the Yale freshman transfer come in for the rest of the game. But we'll talk about DJ. While he was still playing before the injury, how do you think he did? You
know, he made the big throw. It was clear now he throws a very good deep ball. That's become kind of his identity. Didn't do much in the running game. Wasn't in there a whole lot, and then he was hurt. So I think DJ's going to be a very good player. But I'll say this. God bless Billy Napier. He lost Graham Mertz last year and might have beat FSU because Travis was down without him. Might have beat Missouri. He lost Mertz this year when he was up 10-0 on Tennessee. Now he loses Lagway when he's beating Georgia. That's just bad luck. I don't think I can ever remember a coach losing 3 starting quarterbacks in about a 12-game stretch like that, and they're winning every game when it happens. So tough blows for Billy Napier in Florida. I think DJ Lagway is going to be really good. I think they found some young players, Alessandra. Some of those young defensive players. This guy, Aaron Gates, some of the young defensive players, Jack Pyburn from here in Jacksonville. They found something there. I thought Lagway was playing well. Georgia had the better team. Georgia deserved to win the game, but I think Florida's found something, and I like the way Lagway's playing. It'll be interesting to see how long he's down. They haven't announced it yet.
Before we get to Carson Beck, let's talk about a little bit more about Aiden Warner. How do you move on if DJ is out? Because it did look like a pretty bad injury. If DJ is out for the rest of the season or quite a few games, how do they move on with this third-string quarterback?
Well, that's a great question, Alessandra, because he's a walk-on. He's a transfer from Yale. By all accounts, is a really well-respected kid, really well-liked in the program. He's worked very, very hard. He's beat out Clay Millen, who was the other backup, who the transfer from Colorado State, so he's the guy now. But look, he's limited. His arm, they say he's got arm talent. I think his arm's average. He's not a runner, and he just hasn't played. He'll do everything he's asked to do. He's a tough hard-nosed kid. But it's going to be hard. You got to play at Texas. You got to play. You're playing. Look at the quarterbacks you got to play against: Quinn Ewers, Jackson Dart, Garrett Nussmeier. That's the next 3 quarterbacks you've got to go head-to-head with against them with a walk-on. It's going to be a real tough go. If DJ Lagway cannot come back, and it did look like a bad injury, it's going to be a tough go for the Gators.
Okay, now talking about Carson Beck, our local guy here. I got to say, he threw 3 interceptions, was it? You know, the beginning of the game for him wasn't great, but he's a veteran guy, and you saw what he was able to rally the team, and then obviously win it at the end.
2 things. Carson made the play he had to make at the end of that game. Again, when it got to be 20-20, all right, Florida's back in this thing now. Florida had all the momentum. Those Georgia fans were nervous in that stadium. A lot of Florida fans had left, but the ones that were there were excited, and Carson took them down the field for the game-winning touchdown. I know they got the oh, by the way, at the end of the game, but the big one was when it was 20-20, so give him credit. But Carson's got to play better. Didn't play very well. That's 2 games in a row now. He has not played very well. Did not play well against Texas. He made some bad choices. He tried to force balls. He didn't see things, Alessandra. Carson, if Georgia's going to get to the mountaintop this year, and if Carson's going to have a long career in the NFL, which a lot of people expect, he's got to see things better. He's got to anticipate better. He's got to quit taking chances that aren't there. I'm surprised. These are mistakes he did not make last year and wasn't making earlier this year. So Carson did what he had to do. He found a way to win the game. Tip of the cap to him. That's what mattered most. But he's got to play better, and I think he would tell you that.
Let's look at this Saturday's schedule. Florida at Texas. That is going to be a very hard game for the Gators.
Yeah, I think if Lagway's there, if Mertz is there, Florida's proven they can line up and play with anybody. Nobody expected that. Nobody expected Florida's 2 lines of scrimmage. Their running back room is really good. Those defensive backs have really come around. They've gotten some injuries back there, too. I think with Lagway or Mertz, I think they could line up and play with just about anybody. Might not beat them, but they've proven they're in the game. They just played Tennessee and Georgia, 2 really good teams, and took them to the wire. But without them, without quarterback play, I think it's just going to be hard. I assume Lagway, again, at this recording, we certainly don't know about Lagway. I assume Lagway is not going to be available, and if he's not, it's going to be a tough challenge to go win at Texas. 100,000 people there, and a walk-on quarterback having to play against that.
Georgia gets another they get a top 25 matchup this weekend at Ole Miss.
Tough game for the Bulldogs because Jackson Dart just had his best game. He just had his Heisman moment. Probably too late to win the Heisman, but he was really good a week ago. Ole Miss was as good as they've been all year long. He was lighting it up left and right against a pretty good Arkansas defense. This is a hard game for Georgia. They used a lot of energy. They used a lot of emotion to beat Florida, and they found a way to do it. That's what the SEC is the NFL, man. You play one tough team, and then you do it again, then you do it again. Really, really tough game for Georgia on the road. I think Georgia's going to beat Ole Miss, but this is going to be a tough game for the Bulldogs. Make no mistake about that.
Yeah, the SEC is stacked this season. The ACC, on the other hand, got anything to say about FSU? Because I don't.
I will tell you this. I've told you this before. I'm as puzzled by what happened at FSU as I've ever been in all my years, Alessandro, of covering college football. How you went from 13-0 in the regular season to honestly one of the worst Power 5 teams in America. I would never, I don't understand how that happened. I know they lost a lot of good players, but you assume some of the backups are ready. North Carolina, who's just okay, allowed 70 to James Madison. Now, North Carolina's better than they were earlier in the year. They kind of found something a week ago. They gutted the Noles. I don't know what FSU does. The best break FSU has is the fact that Florida, which had to play him with Max Brown last year, now is going to have to play him with Aiden Warner. But, boy, tough times for the Noles. I'm out of answers, and I know Mike Norvell's out of answers. I'm shocked that FSU's this bad.
The positive thing for Florida State is the last month of their season because they're not playing in December or January. Frank, thank you so much, and thank you for watching Campus Corner.